everybody, I'm Miss Cooksey, and today we're going to be talking about order of operations. So, order of operations is always the second lesson I teach in the school year because we really need to know when to add, subtract, multiply, divide, when to use exponents, when to use parentheses if we're going to accomplish anything else in math. We really need to have our basic operations down. So, most of us know at this point in time that order of operations is PEMDAS, which is an acronym that we can use to help us remember the order that we complete operations in. If you're given a big math problem like 3 times 6 plus 9 minus 2 divided by 4 times 8, the order in which you choose to complete each of those individual operations can change your answer entirely. In order to make sure that all mathematicians are on the same page, we need an order in which this should happen. That's where the order of operations comes in. So, as a math community, we have decided that this is the order that you are supposed to complete operations in, and we decided this again to make it consistent so that everyone always gets the same answer. So, P, it comes first. We always do parentheses first. You'll notice that for parentheses, I have regular parentheses. I also have brackets, curly brackets, and absolute value lines. These are all examples of kinds of grouping symbols that you might need to evaluate first before you evaluate anything else. Next, we have E, which stands for exponents. Exponents, an example would be this little 2 on top of the x. These mean repeated multiplication. Other words for exponents might be square, which means to the second power, cube, which means to the third power, or power. We might say to the fourth power, the fifth power, the sixth power. And that tells us how many times we multiplied this base. So for example, x squared means x times x multiplied 2 times. If this said x to the fifth, we would have x times x times x times x times x times x. I think that's 5. We would be multiplying x 5 times. So we always start by evaluating anything in parentheses and then evaluating exponents. After that, we have multiplication and division. Notice that there is a line here with multiplication and division. Some students think, oh, M comes first, so I should do all the multiplication and then all the division. But that's not true. Multiplication and division are going to happen in the same step, and we are going to move from left to right. So we're always going to multiply first, then we're always going to multiply and divide at the front of the expression and then move to the back. Here's some ways that we might see multiplication. We might see a little x for multiplication. We might see parentheses, 2 times 3. We might see a dot, or we might see a number smushed next to a variable. This also means that they are being multiplied. For division, we might see a division sign. We might see a dash like this, which is what sometimes happens on your homework when it's really difficult to draw out whatever the math problem is. Sometimes you'll just see a dash, or you'll see a fraction line. These are all ways to represent division. Last but not least, we have addition and subtraction. Again, it's really tempted to see, oh, A comes before S, so I'm going to add everything first. That's not true. Again, addition and subtraction happen in the same step, so we're going to move from left to right. Thankfully, addition and subtraction have no weird ways we can write about them. They're either adding or subtracting. Let's look at some examples. So we are going to go through each of these problems. We'll start here, and we're going to use the order of operations to evaluate. So we're looking at this, and we're going to start with parentheses. Well, there's parentheses here, so 3 plus 2 is 5. So I went ahead and evaluated those parentheses to change 3 plus 2 to 5. Next, we are going to deal with exponents. So I see only one exponent here. That's 5 squared, which is 25. So exponents came next. Then I'm going to do multiplication and division from left to right. So you'll notice there's some multiplication here, 4 times 25, and some division here, 10 divided by 2. So 4 times 25 is 100, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now I'm going to do addition and subtraction. Remember, it's not addition first, then subtraction. We are moving in the same step, and we are moving from left to right. So we're actually going to subtract 7 minus 100 first, and then add 5. 7 minus 100 is negative 93. plus 5 is negative 88. In our next example, we've got 48 divided by 2 to the power of 3 times 3 plus 5 times 4 minus the difference of 5 and 3. We're starting with parentheses first, but this is kind of hard because there's some brackets here and then some parentheses here. We are always going to deal with whatever's the most on the inside first. In this case, that is these parentheses. So it's not that the parentheses go above the brackets, it's just that they are more on the inside. They're on the inside of those brackets. 5 minus 3 is 2, so we're going to start there. Now we have 4 minus 2 to deal with our parentheses, and 4 minus 2 is 2. Now we're going to deal with exponents. So our exponents here are 2 to the third power. This does not mean 2 times 3. It means 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 to the third power, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Oops, and I scrolled down by accident. After this, we're going to do multiplication and division again in the same step. So we got to start left to right. Well, our leftmost is some division, followed immediately by multiplication, and then there's some more multiplication here. So let's start with this division. 48 divided by 8 is 6. Now we're going to keep going from left to right. So 6 times 3 is 18. 5 times 2 is 10. Now we add 18 plus 10 is 28. That's order of operations, everybody. Just a specific set of rules. I find it really helpful to sometimes double check, try the math in my head first, and then use a calculator to make sure that for big subtraction problems like 7 minus 100, I'm not making any tiny arithmetic errors. But if you remember PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, you're set. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. Be sure to tune in to my next video about the number properties, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss a video. I'll see you next time.